Hello, and welcome to the Urban Polling and Activator course for health professionals. This is an online version. My name is Juliette Fritchie, and I'm a physiotherapist and urban polling master trainer. So this is the second topic of our primary conditions module, and this topic is on Parkinson's disease. This particular PowerPoint presentation will have a lot of video examples of exercises, so it will give you a really nice idea of how to use the poles in clients with moderate or advanced or who are quite high level in their functioning. So this is a bit of a video clip of a woman who has moderate Parkinson's, and this is with and without poles. So you'll see her with poles, without poles, and also with poles. On the left-hand side, she is walking without poles. On the right-hand side, she is will be walking with poles. She prefers using the activator technique, and you'll see that with her. So note the arm swing and the use of arms, and also her shoulders are back much more when she's using the poles. This is Bill Trewin, and he has Parkinson's disease, and at the time of this photograph he had completed 22 half marathons using urban poles. It's a great example of how people perceive the poles to be about ability, exercise, activity. So he found that for hours after using the poles, he experienced a lot less rigidity and freezing. And as I said before, he is using the urban polling technique. So the benefits of using poles with Parkinson's clients is that it does allow them, because of the stability, it allows them to do large amplitude movements, range of motion exercises, and they've got that support there so that they can really challenge themselves and go a little further than they would otherwise. It gives them the confidence to do that and the stability to do that. It is really good when you're pressing down on those core ledges to get them to sit and stand in a much more upright manner because they are pushing down on those core ledges. So then they can do exercises in with a more stable and upright stance. It will increase your gait speed and stride, especially when using the Nordic walking method, so the urban polling method. It normalizes gait pattern with less variation, and this is something that the research has shown time and time again in most of the research papers that have been looking at Parkinson's disease. Minimizes freezing, improves your coordination, especially upper lower limb coordination, endurance and strength. If people find they can walk further and they're more confident to walk further, more balanced to walk further, then they will improve their endurance and their functional endurance and their strength. And it makes exercises less abstract. So, you know, look at your pole, lift your pole, turn with your pole, put your pole over here, so that they have something to focus on and something more concrete there. So assessment of Parkinson's clients before using the pole, look at all the things that you would usually with Parkinson's clients, especially dynamic balance, coordination. Have a look at if they are freezing, if they are rigid, walking tolerance, falls risk, judgment and insight, and this is especially important when they're using the urban poles because they do speed you up a little bit. What is their dual tasking, like upper, lower limbs, left, right, turning your head while you're doing something, and their gait patterns. So it's always good to take a video before using the poles, and then once they learn the poles, take it with the poles as well. So most clinics will have assessment processes, and that's the way that you would go. So the guidelines are, it really depends. And the good thing about poles is that you can chop and change them depending on whether whether you think they need a bit more stability or whether you think that they are able to push and get a little further with their urban poles. Urban poling technique is great in the early stages for those with independent gait because it's an exercise and it's an exercise aid, so they can use it while they are walking, and it will increase their endurance, their distance that they're able to walk, and their gait variability. So the goal is to improve your speed, your variability, get those arms swinging, and with urban poling, you will have that straight arm handshake position, so you can get a really nice arm swing happening with that. Look at their stride and general strengthening. Don't forget that you can add boot tips to activator poles, and then they're turned into urban poles virtually, or you can use the urban poling technique with them. And then if you need to, you can change them back to the bell-shaped tips. So activator tips and technique might be better with the lower level clients who require stability, balance, improving just that variability in their gait. And you could be using both techniques, or they might be using their activator poles at home, but if they go for a walk, they might be able to use their urban poles as well. And that magic 30%, start at a lower level walking tolerance, because it does take a lot more concentration. You are using more energy, and so it's important also to have them get the confidence that they can use the poles and not sort of fall in a heap because they get so tired. Don't emphasize opposite arm and leg. This is quite important because oftentimes if you put, especially with activator poles, if you put them in their hands, it's a very intuitive sort of way to walk. And I know as therapists, we're always explaining things, and sometimes it's better not to, and just to give them the space to sort it out. Often the first half a dozen steps or so, they're all higgledy-piggledy, but they come good. So as long as they're safe, I would give them that length of time just to see if they can manage that left-right technique on their own, and so not have to have somebody explaining and over-explaining to them. And another point to make is when you are teaching somebody to walk with poles who has Parkinson's disease, make sure you have a really nice stretch that they can walk in a straight line before they have to turn around, so they can just get that rhythm happening. You can switch to an activated technique if they are unsteady, and if you've started them with urban poles, or if they deteriorate in some way, if their condition changes, you can move them to an activated technique. And don't forget also that if they do have urban poles and they need more stability, you can then just get the bell-shaped tips and put them on the urban poles as well. If they have been using a single point stick, but especially a walker, they probably won't have the hip extensor and trunk stability to walk all the time with the poles. So you may find that they use the walker or single point stick as a primary walking device and then use the poles in therapy for standing exercises, for extension, for getting that core activity, and or they might use them for walking short distances or outdoor activities. I have had people who have been in, have lived on properties, and so walkers are just not suitable outside for going up and down sort of slopes or on the grass or rough areas, and they find that they can use activated poles quite well in that situation. Just note that the urban poling technique, because you've got the poles behind you and you're doing a thrust that's behind you, it will increase your gait speed. So if somebody has difficulty stopping, that is an issue. So you do need to assess that. Here's a couple of exercises. With Parkinson's disease, it doesn't matter what method you use. Most research and most clinical methods now are focusing on these large amplitude movements of both upper and lower limb, and using them both together, upper, lower, coordinated, large amplitude movements. So we'll look at a little bit of those now. We'll start with lower level clients. So for lower level clients, they may need assistance, as in this video. So they might need to hold the poles, and the therapist may be using the poles just to guide through the movement. So this first little bit of the video just shows some pre-gait. So just coming off. So he's probably done some just reaching forward, and now he's doing some actual sit to stand. So this is more lower level client. This is posture. Grumpy man, happy man. And that just shows when you push on the poles, you can get a really nice extension in your sitting. This is a man with Parkinson's, and just showing turning and stepping around without the use of the poles. And he'll come back now, I think. And this is the use not just of poles, but of visual aids, so that he knows where to step. And it keeps him nice and upright. This next one is a range of movement. And again, this is a perfect example of using a concrete instructions. Pole to the ground, pole up above your head. Pole to one foot, touch one foot with your pole and right over your head. And now reach down, touch the left foot, now straight up as high as you can to the ceiling. This is now a little bit higher level, and this is paddling. Really nice one for trunk rotation and shoulder range of motion. Pre-gait, and really nice stretching there. So you're getting a really good stretch forward, hip flexion, and then stretching those arms backwards, getting a lovely pec stretch. Rotation, and you can use visual aids on the floor for this as well. She's going further now for somebody who, as a progression. And lifting. And then you add the arms in as well. Lift your pole as high as you can, right up to the ceiling. Same thing, and now she's adding the pole. And this is what the gentleman was doing before as well, stepping and using the poles. You have to have a bit of a slippery seat to do this, but you can see when it's really useful when you don't have arms. It just gives you that little bit of support and allows you to stand up, sit up really straight. This is higher level again, so much less control. This is a gentleman with Parkinson's doing range of motion, doing balance. A lot of this is balance work. I use a lot of these for older adults, but this is very much pushing to the end of range. Heel raises and toe raises. Try and kick your bottom. So as much, it's not just a control, this is just getting your range. And then this is higher level again. So you can do squats, or you can actually advance that and progress that. This is changes of direction for high level clients, and forwards, backwards, changes of direction. And then he's progressed that to a longer jump. Oops, done that. And this is what was shown in the first video. And this is a twist. So this is turning, and you swivel your back foot. Bring one pole to the other. Bring your poles together and swivel your back foot. This is a turn with a trunk rotation without and with a step. Really nice to have your support there. A lot of people would not be able to do it without the support. And there it is, side on. Step, move your pole and look at the pole. Look at your left pole as you step. These are lunges. This is actually a clock exercise using lunges. And I like this because she does a lot of, she does some diagonals. And most people would not be able to do that without poles. So it really gives them a chance to do those higher level balance activities. This is very high level, and she's turning her head as well. So it's hopping, alternate arms, and turning head. Now to make that less, to make that more easy, you can do it without the hop. You can just do strides. You can do it without the arms, or you can do it on the spot with the arms, and I do that quite often with my people. But if these are high level clients, and if they're people who have been quite fit and want to retain their fitness, then that's the kind of thing that you could do with them. Just gives them that little bit extra support while they're doing these high level fitness activities. This is something that a lot of us are familiar with, using poles, just using broomstick handles I used to do. And this is turning your head as well. They were turning their heads also. Happy smiles. And then this is the walk. That's actually harder than it looks when you have somebody. Now, this is Dr. Becky Farley, who developed the Power Up exercises, and these are, again, high-level stepping and high-level balance activities with the poles. This is sideways walking. So you can see the large amplitude, and she's added a bit of a hop in. You don't have to do that. And it's a definite, put your pole, you're really placing that pole very definitely as you step, and you're doing a very large amplitude with your arms. And this is backwards stepping. This is stepping on the spot. And this is left and right pole as well. You can do that without your poles. I often start them with one, with just their legs, and then move to the arms when they're good with that. Again, this is not an easy activity to do. And then she's going to walk now. Walking backwards and stretching out those arms as she walks. Notice how the poles are vertical, and it's important to keep reminding clients to keep them vertical, because otherwise they don't have the same stability. These are lunges, deep knee lunges with a step. And I sometimes do repeated lunges. And this is a lunge walk. So higher level clients who really require challenging activities, this is excellent for them. Oh, I think I've done that. And I'm going to finish with a group exercise program. So this is a group exercise to music. And this is again a power exercise, using the power method. So they're doing arms and legs together. The woman at the back is less stable, so she has somebody with her just to assist. So she's broken that down to a lift your knee, bring it out, and bend both knees while you're moving your poles at the same time. High knee, high marching. So what these poles allow you to do, which you can't do when you're holding on, is they allow you to shift a lot more, to shift your weight side to side. Because you can hold your poles out to the side and do that. Okay. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next video.